Okay, happy to meet you. And it's funny that with my subject I'm talking about, we are completely bodiless. Yes, but I think it's very necessary to talk about the subject. So I don't mind. I don't mind. Yes, I'm here in the capital of Hannover. It's the capital of Lower Saxony, and I'm in Germany, and I'm in Europe, and I'm talking out of my context. I don't want to mix into the American context, although I read a lot about it. But please understand that I'm talking for my actual situation here. And it's sort of this theme, Zen and sexuality, arose out of the Sangha discussions and out of discussions with other traditions. So I really like to present you some ideas, and my hope is that you really give me some thoughts back afterwards. One more words to the setting. Commonly, when I talk to people about sexuality as a family therapist, wherever, at whatever places, very often people are hidden behind tables so that the lower body is separated from the upper body by the table wood. And my first step is to ask people to take the tables away, so the whole person is sitting in front of me, because sexuality means the whole being which is sitting in front of me, and it's something very physical. So here we can't do it, we just see faces, and the situation is even worse. Yeah, we are separated, we are here as brains. Yeah, our brain is in the middle of the screen. But I beg you, I can't be at your places, but I beg you to be here in your whole existence, in your whole being, with any cell, like in Zazen. Okay, there are 3 points I want to cover during this talk. I want to link sexuality with the Fukan Zazengi. I see very linked. I want to link it to the Bodhisattva Vows. And I want to especially link it with the ceremony of leaving the house. What does it mean to leave a house, to become a monk or a nun? And which is linked with that. I hope I get everything during this time we have. So when the title is Zen and sexuality, I won't really deepen the Zen aspect. You know, I really think that I will link it, but it's not my the main point is not doing Zen, but how it is linked with sexuality. So we are in the Zen subject, and we are not. First to the Fukan Zazengi. The Fukan Zazengi describes decisively which posture we take to sit Zazen. It describes how we place our body on the cushion and start Shikantaza. When you see please excuse my English, when you see, there is no unnormal Zen practitioner, but when you see a normal Zen practitioner, this person in the Zendo is mostly covered from top to toe. The face is open, maybe you can see the sutra, but the feet and the whole of the body is within mountains of fabric. You can't see anything, and this for a good reason. As a family therapist, I can say it's always interesting not only what people are saying, but sometimes it's more interesting what people are not saying and what they are not talking about. So with the body, it's the same. It's interesting what parts of the body can be seen and which parts of the body are hidden in different cultures. In different cultures, different parts of the body are hidden, or they are seen, they are taboo or not taboo. So in Zen, we bring ourselves to the cushion all covered as much as possible, only without veiling ourselves. But even then, we turn our face to the wall, so somehow our face is not shown to anybody. So, sitting down on the cushion, we turn the light, we turn the activity into ourselves. And what do? The two positions which are recommended are the full lotus position or the half lotus position. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to do so, but it's definitely a position which is very helpful, and that's why it's recommended. In the former times, when the full lotus position was somehow developed, which goes very, very far back into the history of human mankind, people haven't been covered like this. Even in northern India today, you can see people living their spiritual life rather uncovered. There are sadhus who are completely naked, and never is punishing them for that. They are respected persons of the spiritual communities, and I think this overall covering and only showing face and hands is only somehow contradictory to our position on the cushion, completely covered. So the idea is to look in a sort of way under our kolonos and kimonos and under our clothes, and we look what happens there. You know, under those mountains of fabrics, we cross in the ideal position, which is not absolutely necessary, but which helps. We cross our legs, and what do? We turn the sides of our feet upwards, which means the feet, the bottom where we touch the wall, and where the energy of our lower body is going downwards to the earth, we turn them upwards. The lower part of our body is part of sending energy into the earth to work against gravity. Also, there are all this, how do you say, the sexual ovaries and, how do you call this? I forgot it. All the sexual energies, and also the center of gravity is sitting in our lower pelvis. And we give our urine and excrement through this lower pelvis onto the earth. We do this away. And the feet, standing on our feet, on our legs, which have the strongest muscles of our body, this energy goes into the earth. And now this is the hopping point. This is the crucial point. During the Zen, we turn all those muscles and all those energies of our lower pelvis, of the muscles of our pelvis, of everything which is living there, sitting there, which makes us alive, which makes us creatures. We turn it upwards as a base for our Shikantasa. So we have to look what are those energies we are turning upwards and want to send out of the mud to nourish the blossom of the lotus. What are those energies? And those energies are what I mean with sexuality. I don't mean with sexuality any special practices or any genders or whatever. So I can't, and I don't want, and I don't intend to harm anyone, and I don't want to distinguish all those practices and orientations. I just want to go onto a meta level and say we activate energies, sexual energies, and those energies are the pure energies of life. In this world is a world of sexual energies. Any life wants to replicate, to reproduce, to explode. Any dandelion wants to explode into the world. Any virus, even you don't know whether what is a virus? A virus is a piece of material, and nevertheless, it wants to spread into the world. The idea is life wants to send out love. So this sexual energy is in big parts of the world binary. There is the idea that there is something, we call it male, and something we call it female. Yeah, you find it in plants, you find it with insects, you find it with fish, whatever. There are other forms existing as well, but this two-part system which links to create something new, you find it all over the world. So what I want to emphasize is that the sexuality is not only a profound energy expressing life itself, but it's a big stream of information. The reproducing of things, of cells, the copying the genetic code and combining it with epigenetic information, yeah, is a transporting of information. So what I want to stress here is that sexuality isn't only there to reproduce, to make babies and little fish and yeah, little kitten and so on, but is an information flow on a spiritual level, spreading life, exploding life, enjoying, giving life, exploding. And here we come close to this unconditioned dharma joy, which is opening if you unleash the energies of your lower pelvis during Shikantaza to let the lotus bloom. And Fukan Zazengi doesn't talk explicitly about such things, but recommending us a sitting posture, which comes from a very interesting tradition, yoga tradition, which shows by the bodies and by some other techniques of breathing, of what you do with the brain, and so on. It shows that we use this for doing Shikantaza. And there we follow Dogen completely in bringing all our existence onto the cushion. And bringing all our existence onto the cushion means explicitly unleashing those energies. I would just call it energy of life. I could stop here calling it sexuality. The term doesn't interest me. It's the process which happens on the cushion. This energy, symbolized through the soles of the bottom of the feet, pointing upwards, yeah, shows the way. And Dogen Zenji in the Fukan Zazengi, in the most classical, elegant, and unsurpassed way, needs not more than hinting us, giving us the hint to do so on the cushion. This is unsurpassed because I really dived during my life into yoga and physiotherapy and whatever, breath therapy and whatever. And it's so simple and elegant that I could repeat it the rest of the Dharma talk that Dogen Zenji gave us with the Fukan Zazengi, something very, very precious. Okay, so we sit there, anchored on the cushion, bringing up all those energies, and those energies can't be good or bad. They can't be judged because they are life itself, which we can't judge. Ungraspable energies, uncontrollable energies, and what we have to learn is to deal with it and use it for the sake of all beings, so that all beings can benefit from those unleashed energies. And so I just, yeah, before I become too physio, because if you were there, if you were here in our Zendo, we are very strictly work on our postures. and together with yoga teacher or with books of yoga anatomy to see how to refine the sending up of the energies to close this opening to the ground. We don't give during Zazen, we don't give anything into the ground. The ground is carrying us to go upwards with those energies. When we come down from the cushion, then again we turn, and we have to fight against gravitation, and our muscles will bring us up and we get erect. And we send all those energies into the earth. Sitting down, we turn the system around, we anchor, and up the energies go. And this is a bodily flow you can exercise, and I think I enjoy it also during Kinhin. Kinhin, you unfold your legs, you put it on the ground, you stand up, and afterwards you go down, you collect, and go into Jijuyu Zanmai in Shikantaza, using those energies to, let me say, transform. And the point is, if you unleash something, it's always ambivalent to unleash something. You can unleash something, it becomes a monster. You can unleash something, it's a flow of Lotus order, yeah, of beautiful things. So we have, the next point is, we come to the Bodhisattva Vows. The Bodhisattva Vows somehow show us how to deal with limitless and boundless, uncontrollable, ungraspable energies. The Bodhisattva Vows don't let us do whatever we want, but they give us an orientation. They at the same moment the energies comes up, emerge. The Bodhisattva Vows unfold themselves if it works fine. So with the upcoming Bodhisattva Vows, you have an orientation for this endless energies which open yourself, because those energies go up, and where do they meet? They meet at your heart. When we sit in this posture, we have turned the system, we let the energies direct upwards, then the next step, not the next step, but one of the main points, they reach our heart. And we sit wide open, protected by the wall. We turn our back in trusting Buddha, we turn our back to Buddha, and we open our chest widely erect with erect spine. Widely we open our heart to the universe, to Buddha. We let the energies come out in a stream with our heart, like we chant. We chant Shikantaza with our heart, taking all the energies out into the universe. And this carries us up. So if you sit 15 minutes, how can you feel so tired afterwards? If you let those energies flow, then the leaves of your kimono, yes, of your kolomo, yeah, they become wings which carry you through the universe. This is very poetic, but I feel like this today. And so it reaches your heart, and then it puts your heart up, and then you sit erect, and it's not you who is sitting on the cushion. There is this famous little blue flame sitting on the cushion. There is this stream of energy sitting on the cushion, and the ego, the I is somewhere, it's not lost, it's somewhere, but it's not important at that moment. There's this little blue flame on the cushion, and this power floating, and this opening towards the world, towards all beings. And then this energy passes the heart. Okay, it goes to the next level of muscles which are here. The pelvis is the under, the lowest muscle, how do you say, lid. Then there comes the diaphragma carrying the heart. And then there comes this part here. And so we have our head, we stretch, our neck gets stretched. Nose vertical, eyes horizontal, and you have here this little tension in the throat. It carries you upwards at the same time, like the rest of your body, sitting there, relaxing. So even your muscles in your throat get relaxed. So afterwards you sing, mostly I sing a little bit deeper than I speak before, because I got completely relaxed. Because I don't have to do nothing. There's nothing to do on the cushion. Just let those energies explode, sit, enjoy, give up, surrender to those energies. Yeah. And then you sit, and then it reaches your brain, but your brain is just an organ, as we are taught. It's just an organ doing its functions. So you don't have to, you don't ignore it, but you let it do what it wants to do, and then this energy can go. Let it go. If you don't let it go, your head will explode. So you have to let it out. Yeah. You don't want to explode, so you let it out, your heart and your brain. Yeah. Going out the energy, and that is life, and that is the sexuality I mean. It's not this banal, not unimportant, but in this case, not the banal use of your sexual tools, you know, doing whatever life and instinct and delusions let you do. Do it, enjoy it, but this I do not mean here. Here I mean those energies unleashing upwards. And luckily, the Bodhisattva vows give us the orientation how to deal with it. So, the Bodhisattva has a great advantage. The Bodhisattva is obliged not to censor anything. He is not obliged to censor the sexuality, the sexual energies, or whatever energies come up, because he is obliged to take on any role which is helpful to act for the sake of all beings. So there is nothing, principally there is nothing to cover and nothing to hide and nothing to neglect and nothing to judge, and not to judge into this is good and this is bad. There are no rules really to, how do you say, to hurt. There are no rules to hurt, but a real Bodhisattva has to decide moment to moment what might be helpful, what role can I take on, what energies can I use to serve the whole world and all beings in the whole of the universe. And why in all the world should I cut off sexuality? The point is more to integrate it and to turn it around, like you turn your feet, you stand and you sit. You turn and you, yeah, there are those energies, and you don't say, I don't want this energy. You say, ah, great, more energies, the better I can serve the world. So, and the more is that I'm translating certain books at the moment, so I'm very inspired about that. Bodhisattvas, great bodhisattvas, with intention embody weak, imperfect human bodies. They do this with intention to demonstrate how to. They voluntarily dive into delusion to demonstrate all beings the better, how to get out of it again. And bodhisattvas, there's no need, they don't have to, but they do it to help us to demonstrate how to release yourself out of the delusions without destroying them, without neglecting them, without censoring them. So if we have the Bodhisattva vows, we have to take into account that we have to accept us with everything we are representing. And this is in Shikantava, you activate this and you make your peace with your weak little existence, which is so incomplete. And the more I practice, the more I discover my incompleteness and my mistakes and my abysses of I don't know whatever. And at the same time, that's my duty. That's my duty because the more I discover, the better I can work for the sake of all beings. So now there is, and what is more, I can even use the bad things to help the beings. It's a very interesting point. With the Bodhisattva vows, I vow I would even go to hell if I can be there of help for any creature. But how could someone who is perfect and is in the Buddhahood or a great Bodhisattva, how could he enter hell? It would be forbidden to this person to go into hell. What have I to do? I have to do mistakes. I have to do bad mistakes. If I want to join anyone in hell, I have to do heavy mistakes. So hell will be open for me, so I can enter and work there for the sake of all beings. So maybe whatever are my thoughts, I can use them to enter hell and to be useful there. So that's my hope. And I don't fear it because those energies by Shikantaza emerge also not only the Bodhisattva vows, but also a deep trust into our lineage, into our traditions. And yes, and I want to repeat it once more that with Dogen and the help we get there from Sanshinji to study Dogen intimately, it's immense. So then we come that, okay, then there is I have to a little take care of the time. There is a point, how is this linked with becoming a nun or with becoming a monk? In the last days, I had a lot of discussions with people from other traditions, especially women of other traditions. What is a nun? What is a monk? And there was the idea, nobody can be a nun who is not swearing to live celibately, yeah, without celibately. And this really makes my stomach ache because everything I told you up to now works against any promise to cut off anything of my existence. How can I have the Bodhisattva vows and cut off any energy which might be helpful to serve the world? And how can I judge what can happen? I don't know what will happen. I can't know what energies I have to use to help support, save a being. So I'm glad that I have everything, my thoughts and my advantages, that I accept everything what I can throw onto the cushions and into my practice, because it could be a means to help someone or to support someone. I don't know. Maybe. So what do I mean by leaving the house? By leaving the house, linked with sexual energy, what can be meant? I can't feel and I can't experience that I get divorced and I don't care anymore about my children and I say goodbye doggy, take care for yourself. I have vowed with my marriage and I got children, so this is a sort of physical vow. And if I would let go of this vow, what are my other vows worthy? If I take a vow and let it drop like a hot potato. So what can mean to leave the house and to become a nun? For me, it's not deciding whether I live celibately or not, but for me, it means to change the point of view, to change the perceiving of reality, to change how I deal with my energies, how I follow my Bodhisattva vows, and that I work on bewaring this view. You know, the delusions are strong and they tear us to what is easy and attractive, and all the promises which whisper into your ear, the cookies smiling at you, and the attractive men and women, ooh, come to me and you will be happy, yeah? And it's very, very, there's a great seductiveness, and nothing against this. This is a mud where the Lotus thrives. And on the other hand, if we vow to be monks and nuns, this isn't so complicated to become a nun or a monk. You just wholeheartedly practice with all you are, with your thoughts. You have nothing to cut off. You can enjoy everything, because everything you are, you can put into the service of the whole world, of the being, of all space and time. Well, that's easy. I think this isn't easy. It's more easy to become a monk or a nun than to say, oh no, I can't become a monk or a nun. Because to turn around makes life much more easier than to stay ambivalent. To become a monk and a nun is saying, I see all this, and I put it into the service to the world. And this is a clear statement. And then you just do. And whether you study more or less, I study a lot. I think it's absolutely necessary to study. Some points which I described to you comes also from Faces of Compassion, yeah, by Teigen Leighton. And that's what I feel leaving home to become a nun or a monk. It's not it's not that you become a rule sticker, yeah, or counting, we say in Germany, counting P's, P counter, yeah. You get profound relaxed because everything becomes much more clearer than before. So we hide ourselves during last minute because we have now I think I would like to ask you questions if you are. So we hide ourselves with a lot of fabric, and but not to become holy, and not to hide something, but to help us unleash something, to get concentrated on something, unleash it and use it. And the most important point I want to name you now is that Dogen tells us that everything is chanting the Dharma. Tiles and pebbles and mountains, a stream in the valley. So for sure, why shouldn't sexuality and what is inherent in your bodies, why shouldn't sing that the Dharma too? From all things. So we cover something not because we shy away and we are timid. We just do this to develop it for the sake of all beings. Okay, I think that these are the main points. There are a lot of mere details, but in my preparation, I thought to make a stop here and ask you if you have any questions.
Questions from anybody? While people are thinking, Kyoku, maybe I could ask how you see the relationship between the things that you've talked about today and our precept about not misusing sexuality. You know, when we take precepts or we study precepts, there's this one about vowing not to misuse sexuality. What kind of relationship do you see between the things you're talking about today and that precept?
I think that if you become aware of those energies, if you really become aware, beyond any social conditioning, yeah, we are so socially conditioned what to think of our bodies and how to walk and so on, that if we work and we discover that life itself is talking with us, then at the same time it for me, it's absolutely necessary that the Bodhisattva vows emerge at the same time. You have those energies let go through your heart. If those energies are not combined with the heart and the wisdom, yeah, if you just think, oh, dharma joy, that's fine, I'm allowed to do anything I want, then it goes in the wrong direction. If you make love with anyone and you feel the dharma is talking to you in the same moment, how could you harm anyone or do something which is a misdeed? Yeah, if you really, you hear the dharma talking to you through your body, and if you are aware of this, and if you work on this, how could you do any harm to anyone? You would be, you would freeze at the very moment you are on your way to doing a misdeed. This is the link. If you have the precept and you vow this, you vow to be careful and to listening to the dharma. Actually, I think you vow to listen to the dharma in what you're doing.
Other questions today?
No, I would like to make a comment that I'd like to make a comment that I find it interesting that you're giving this talk, and we have, if you're here in Indiana, we have the drone and cicadas behind us.
Can you please talk a little bit louder?
So yeah, here I find your talk interesting because we have the drone of the cicadas going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're basically, you know, in ground for I don't know how many years, and they come out and they sing their songs in order to reproduce. They have a very short time to do it, and that's their sole purpose. And so I think you can hear on the Hoko when she unmutes her mic, you can hear it. She has her windows open. Mine are closed, but I can still hear them through the windows. And you know, I was actually talking to a friend about it, and I was just like, I was thinking it was depressing because here they are coming out of they are, you know, coming out of the ground. They're just singing their songs to mate, and then they die. Well, you know, that's really, really sad. Mm-hmm. But now I find it, now your talk turned me around a bit to say, to look at it being the energy of life in front of us. So, I mean, if you can really think about it, we sit, we try to be silent, we try to be still, and you have these annoying things that you hear all the time. Right now, it's cicadas. Tuesday mornings in Sanshin, it's the dump trucks doing reverse beeps, right? And you hear these all the time, and it gets like, oh, this is kind of annoying. You know, I want to be enlightened. I want to practice. I need the silence to practice. But the noise, what your talk is re-emphasizing for me is that noise is the energy of our lives. It is the Dharma in front of us. And it's the Dharma speaking through the Dharma. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. May I say something?
Yeah.
I think it's very important to understand that after sitting in the cushion, and we are looking not for the silence outside, we are looking for the silence in us, but then coming down from the cushion, this energy, the stirring point, is again working in the world. So we have to take care in our Zendos, especially also it's here in Germany with all what is going on here. First, the Zendo is a safe place. Everyone who enters the Zendo, the Frühlingsmond Zendo, is under my personal protection. Yeah, and this personal protection, as long as people are behaving peacefully here, yeah, and the Zendo is a safe place, which also implies that we must allow and have discussions with different opinions. As an imperfect being with a lot of mistakes, I know that I'm not always right. So it's unavoidable that you have in your Zendo, in sitting together, having tea, discussing things, there have to be different opinions. And the point is not to have one opinion, but to accept that other people have another opinion. I have to accept that other persons have another opinion about sexuality, energies, and reproduction and all this. But if someone is attacking in my presence, someone because a person has another opinion about something, in this moment I have to decide what I have to do. I can say so far in my life, what is shown, I don't stand there as a spectator looking and doing nothing, because doing nothing is also doing something. So you not necessarily have to do something, because doing nothing is doing something. It's doing nothing. But on the other hand, you have the choice to do something. And as a bodhisattva who has no sensor sticks in its head, the situation will show me what I do. And I'm full of trust that in such situations I will do the right thing. And yes, I think here in Germany, I think there are a lot of things. The peaceful people have to stand together, because peacefulness, the peace of a Zendo, the peace of a society, society is a Zendo is a mini society, has to be taken by all the members of the Zendo. They have to nourish it, and they have to take care for it. Nobody can stand back and say, oh, well, not my problem. We are one. We are one, working for the sake of all beings. And so we can't stand back. We have a way to get the balance between doing and non-doing. But if we do nothing at all, we go too far to one side. And if we go to the other side, we go too far to the other side. So we have to meander between. And there is a wonderful, this is really a task. We have a river in Germany which is called the Saar, and it makes the famous Saar bend. Yeah, it goes into this direction, and then here is a mountain, and from this mountain you can see the river floating this direction. But where you can't see from a certain point of view, then the Saar makes a turn and comes this way. So if you look at one point, you see the water going this way, and then you think, oh, well, the water is going the wrong way. It comes up to you, but it's always the same river. So this is a wonderful example where you can watch it and feel it and experience it. That things seems to contradict itself, yeah, but it's always only one river. So doing and non-doing have to find a balance so that the flow of the whole thing can go on undisturbed. If you don't, you can't stop a river flowing, and you have to accept those movements. And I think as a Sangha, you have to be strong and find a way to stay together and not let, for example, here we have a soldier working in the German army, and here members of the Zendo who say this is impossible. In Germany, a Buddhist working over the military, not good, not good. And there were tendencies to send him away, but not with me. Not with me. He comes to practice here. He is a devoted practitioner. Not with me. I think then any other people we have to have discussions. I won't send him away. Maybe some other people have to go, but not this one. And we have to be able to support those tensions. We have to learn to live with those tensions. If we don't learn to live with those tensions, we become unjust. We don't do a good job with solving and releasing such tensions too easily. In the systemic family therapy, if there are tensions, you let them sit. You don't look, you savor them. You don't try to solve problems. You savor them and you let them, you sit like a hen on those problems and let until the little birdie comes out of it. You don't have a hammer and crash the egg. There will be no birdie if you crash the egg, because you won't very quickly get into the egg. You sit on it. And I think a Zendo is something where you have to deal those energies of people, those very different energies of people. What is hidden in us? What energies are hidden in us? Abysses and abysses are in us. Nobody knows what is lurking in oneself, yes? And if it gets unleashed through whatever reasons, we have to learn how to deal with it. And the Bodhisattva Vows, our precepts, everyone is helping us. So we have prepared for this. We have to be prepared for this.
Other questions this morning? Comments, reflections? Did I see a hand up?
Can you hear me? This is Ko-un from Florida.
Yes,
Oh,
go
yes.
ahead.
Hi.
Kyoku, what I so appreciated your talk, and I always appreciate someone whose first language is in English, because when they speak in their second language, for me, it's clearer, and it's, for me, many things came to mind. But when you're speaking about the Sangha and speaking about discord and wanting, this person's right, and we will, have someone at the door checking the viability of their coming in. It leads me to the story of, the blind people surrounding an elephant, and everyone just sees one part of something, and they believe, that's their truth, but it's only a portion, and it's based on, a whole lifetime that precedes, you're joining a Sangha. But it also brings in mind that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Once the integrity of the Sangha is the functioning of the whole unit together, and everyone has different perspectives and different points of view, but once you start picking and choosing, unless there's someone that comes in with an AK-47 and they're obvious breaking of, precepts, but I just think using the example of when our Sangha in its early years had disharmony and huge problems, no one was thrown out. We all came and sat together amidst great difficulty to work with each other so we could move forward as a group, as a unit. It wasn't, there were some individuals that had to come together, but I do agree. It's difficult. It's difficult being part of a Sangha, but I agree with what you said. And I also, when you were talking about sexuality, I took a little break and I didn't hear the whole thing. I'm assuming one should not prey on another, but what came to mind is the Buddhist expression of not one and not two. When there is a sexual union, there's disappearance of the individual, and you're one, not forever, but with all that is. So I appreciated your talk. It was lovely. It was lovely to hear it. Thank you.
Anyone else this morning? Oh, Brian's got his hand up, please.
I just wanted to thank you for sharing this with us, presenting this talk, and because of my own practices and other practices. For example, I do some Taoist internal alchemy practices, which of course deal a lot with energy and things. I just found it very helpful how you connected that aspect of practice with the Bodhisattva vows. And it really helpful for me in my life and practice to have that kind of orientation. So I just felt a really good kind of shifting when you shared that. So thank you for that.
Anyone else this morning? Jeff, please.
Yeah, this is a small point from, well, actually it was not a small point from your talk, but it connects to something that's come up in our discussions with Hoko frequently. The way you describe the place of the robes and covering the robes. Hoko reminded me of discussions that you've made several times about the place of ceremony and the rituals and forms in our practice is allowing you to sort of free up and channel. You haven't used those exact words, but it was such a good match for me, listening to the role of the robes, freeing and allowing for channeling of energy. And I think in similar words, in similar ways, hopefully you brought up the same way of understanding the freeing of the rituals and the formality of the energies of the rituals, freeing up the channeling of the energies in our practice. So I just wanted to make that observation because it may come up in the future.
Great. Yeah.
Anything else this morning? Questions, reflections, comments? Mark, please.
One last question. What for Kyoku? What's a Sangha?
Can you speak up a little bit?
What is a Sangha? What makes up a Sangha? In your discussion, and answers, you've talked about, the interaction of a Sangha, but what is a Sangha?
Mm-hmm. A Sangha is Buddha and Dharma. Buddha, Dharma, if you understand Sangha, you understand Buddha and Dharma, and so on and so on and so on. Sangha, the biggest Sangha we can distinguish the universe is our Sangha. So if we practice with the whole universe. Our context we are practicing is the whole universe. It's not a room, it's not a Zendo, it's not a wood, it's not anything. You can't practice without the whole universe because that's our context. So if you practice with the whole universe. So Sangha is necessarily all beings. And on the other hand, Sangha in a very narrow sense is the people who are coming into the room this evening and having tea with you. But this group represents the whole universe. So it doesn't count how many people are coming and how big is the room or the building, but you have whatever you find is your Sangha, and you have to work with this, what is your actual situation, as careful as if you work with the whole universe, because in fact it is a real whole universe, but you work with a little number of people, but it's all the universe. So in this Sangha you try to activate, to manifest the Bodhisattva Vows, to keep open, beware, and cultivate the way of awakening. You have to try to transport the teachings of the Buddha. You study the texts of Dogen Zenji. You do Shikantaza together. And this is like a journey. You go into a journey with changing contexts, with people who are changing, and you accompany each other. There's no one who knows better than the other. There's no one whose practice is more valuable than the other one's practice. it's Sangha is going maybe with a small group of people into the journey through the universe. That's what I mean with this when the sleeves of the kolomo becomes the wings with which you fly through the universe. And Sangha, you're all as you're always interconnected with any being. With any being. The Sangha is never ending. There is no end and no beginning of a Sangha. And Sangha is something as ungraspable and and wondrous as the Dharma itself. So we have Sangha is the greatest thing we can have, like Dharma and Buddha. That sounds a little bit mysterious, Mark?
Excuse me?
Does it sound too mysterious?
I didn't understand the last word.
No, I think that you work with the whole universe dealing with a small number of people.
Yeah. She wonders if it sounds too mysterious for you.
No, not at all, actually.
Ah, okay, thank you. No, okay.
I think we need to get Misaki to make a cartoon of the wings, you know, the monk fly through the air with the koromo wings. I think it's a great image. I love it. Other comments, questions, reflections this morning? Last things that people would like to say. All right. Thanks so much, Kyoku. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for your talk, and I hope that you'll be back with us again at some point to visit us again on a Sunday morning, and we'll hear again from Germany. So I'm going to pitch back to Mark now. He's going to do our closing chant. We'll finish up with some announcements for today. Thanks, everyone, for your practice. And Mark, Myogen, over to you.